islands, you're looking at the same. All of it's yours. You need to understand that. Same like when those of you in the islands and you're talking about the Maroons, still talking about Moors. The Maroons are Moors. Get over it. They're just simply brothers and sisters among the island people who try to preserve and keep the culture.
Here's a question. Why don't, quote unquote, they reveal that it was the Moorish womb men who defeated the Brits in the Revolutionary War?
Here we go. Aren't we back to Moorish history? Your connection to the land. Act like you know. They just hide it by calling us Indians. None of it's a secret. It's just that people need to know the difference between the nom de guerre that were used to separate us from each other, and the different territorial names and tribal names which were used or emphasized to make us think that we're different people when we're just simply the same people of different territories, tribes of nations. Tribes are simply no different than you would call the different nation territories or what you would call the states territories. You look at the tribes in the same perspective because the state territorial jurisdictions were based on tribal rules. It's a duplication and a reflection of the same. And so when you look into Wigmores and you're looking at the Wigmore conscience Whigs and the Cotton Whigs, i.e. the Republican Party and Democratic Party, just look at the Honesty Confederation and then look at the Powhatan Confederation, etc. It's just simply a copy of what was already here.
I think the interesting point with regard to the D's and the R's is that when you, in terms of, I think a lot of folks have to see in this short 100 days what those who did actually go out and cast a ballot for what they did. It's very apparent, but I don't think as many realize, not maybe the ones here in this, we're very astute here on this chat, but I don't know if the masses realize that Mr. T, we'll just call him Mr. T. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't really, like you said, definitely wasn't on the D side, and the R's didn't respect him because a lot of them were just as involved in the mess as the D's. So he came for a totally different, like you always said, he was chosen or
he was
appointed, assigned, and so forth.
The corporation is dead.
Right. Who assigned him?
You can look at it from a perspective of divine fate. And that's included on a secondary level with generals and admirals who have been operatively constructing a plan to counter the operations of the Roman Curia operations that took place with the coup d'etat of 1861, March the 27th, with the overthrow of the Lincoln administration to undermine the Republic. Now, you know, like you hear Dr. Nail about Q and QAnon that they're talking about
17.
Today? Do you know that started during the Lincoln administration and not recently the way people think it is?
Really?
That started during the Lincoln administration. It was just reactivated by Mr. T.
Okay.
That's the truth. The more you know about the real history, it's not only going to shock you, but you need to, it's like this. For people to ignore what's going on is to ignore their economic and political fate. And you're not going to hide from this because the dark priesthood is willing to sacrifice all of you to maintain power. So you think that because you're not involved, that you're not involved, you got a wrong thing coming. All you're going to do is make yourself easier grass to cut by ignoring it. I suggest that every man, woman, and child get involved with confessing their own, Because what you don't confess, they plan to steal and liquidate, and then remove you so that you can make no claim. That's honestly what their missionary operations are right now, politically. And if you think that ignoring these matters gets you out of it, I'm not even going to argue with you. You will find out soon enough, and you're not going to go to no new generation with this crap going on, thinking that it's not going to become a reality for you. Because you're if you don't die tomorrow, you'll live through this. You're going to live through what's coming. That's a guarantee. You're not going to ignore it safely. Let's put it that way.
I think I heard the pastor that was talking to Greg saying something like it was akin to paying the hitman to kill you last. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's basically what it is. That's basically kind of what it is. Those who ignore what's going on now is ignoring it at their peril. I'm not condemning people. I'm just observing truth. People are afraid because in their heart of hearts they know that Romans are cold-blooded murderers, and Rome has always done things to undermine anything that deals with justice. Or they keep crucifying Jesus over and over again. Jesus means justice, and so they hide and they think that because they won't take a stand or position of opposition to the corruption, that the corruptors won't sacrifice them. They're just simply easier food. Because Rome is ruthless. You better believe they're ruthless. And not because I say so, they're going to prove it to you. They've been proving it for these last few years. And if you notice that everything they've been doing has been more and more blatant relative to censoring you, cutting you off in the economics, hurting people literally, bluntly in the street. No justice, no justice, no justice, and you haven't figured out yet that they're not your friend, and that they're not your government, that they're the enemy of humanity and the enemy of constitutions and treaties. We don't have to keep telling you because they're going to prove it to you. And if you don't take a position, they're going to eliminate you physically and still steal all your stuff. You think you don't rock the boat and they're not going to take your stuff. Well, you got another thought coming because they intend to sacrifice it. And the more blind you pretend to be, the easier it's for them to eliminate you physically and economically, because that's what their intention is. That's what the pattern is. And keep in mind, for those of you who know the real politics and have done research on corporations, defunct corporations, in recent years, you'll find among them the United States Corporation. Now, what they're trying to do is extinguish many of the people because they stole all the pension plans, all of them. All of them. And rather than acknowledge that that's why they're putting elderly in nursing homes to kill them off under the guise of some secret germ type thing, well, it's not accidental because they've stole all their retirement funds. And they know that when these people finally figure out what they've been doing, like Bush Sr. said, they might lynch them from the nearest pole. That include all them corner store persons who keep claiming to love Jesus, who've been paid off to keep these people passive while they've been getting raped, while they've been getting skull and bone kickbacks, 501c3s that Lyndon Baines Johnson set up. Don't think that the assassination of Kennedy is not connected to this, because that is too.
There is I can't really say what it is, but but there's something on the flash drive that I recently put on in the under House of Reawakening Minds folder that is very, very interesting. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
The kid.
Yes.
And I can't get this, but I put it there.
Yeah.
And they really need, if you don't have a new.
And this is the other thing, Dr. Nayo. People have been thinking that the history and the chronology of the activities have been in a vacuum. The more you understand that the past is tied to the present, cognitely tied to the present, not circumstantially tied to the present, cognitely tied to the present. And so are all political activities. Therefore, it's important for you to know the history. So we're sharing with you some of it, i.e., the truth about American politics. Thus, you must know about the Wigmore Party, because your concepts will be wrong if you don't. And you can easily be misled by persons who are misrepresenting, as they have been, the political platforms operating at North America. And the more you know about this, the more you'll know their motives to have hidden this information and why. But then you also, if you care about your family and yourselves, you start taking responsibility and start getting yourself a little bit more competent than you have been in your social political affairs. Because it's not dancing around you just because you've been ignoring it. Because keep in mind, while you're talking politics, you're still talking about spiritual warfare too. Because that's what's going on. So if you think that they're separate because somebody told you that, it will be to your peril to keep entertaining that state of mind.
Here's a so that's a fact. It's because how did Chief Joseph get a cuneiform tablet that translated to Assyrian land deed?
Still here. Everything is connected. See, this is the whole deal. People got to stop disconnecting these things. They've presented history in a disconnected, vacuum type format when it's all tied together. The present proves the past. You can call prophecy if you want to. It's just that you got to know code words that they've used to hide the history. And also the motive of changing names or using transliterations of names so that you don't trace yourself back to yourself.
I'm seeing some stuff in the chat that's very disturbing tonight, and I'm going to try to be cool. That's why we can't get anywhere. Like I said,
Well, it's what it is.
Fighting. Disrespect.
It's what it is.
Disrespect.
It's going to be there. It's going to be there.
Disrespect.
Remember, this is what Drew Ali said. It'll be only a handful. You know why? Because the darkness. Why did we fall? Is it not been because of dark spirits? Has it not been because of treason? Is it not what the world is suffering in all governments today? Treasonous activities? Have all of the governments been so corrupt that they've been robbing the people? That's indeed the fact, isn't it? Has it not been that many of the platforms for jobs of people and organizations have been constructed for the very purpose of maintaining the corruption or protecting the corruption and protecting people's images who have supported the corruption? And isn't it interesting that when you start telling the truth, it's sort of like you're shining a light on people who otherwise have a different image to the people. And once the people start looking at this information, it exposes a lot of people on all sides. And when the light shines on some people, they get upset because some people aren't who they've been presenting themselves to be. The deal of it is that knowledge empowers people that were otherwise politically and socially disempowered or disenfranchised because they recognize that their concepts have been wrong and that a lot of our lack of unity and a lot of our lack of progress has been because we've been dealing with improper or false or misleading information. And once people start recognizing that a lot of the schisms that exist among our people is because they haven't known the real history, and also is that they suspected that the enemy was just hybrid Europeans, not knowing that the enemies were among our own.
Yep.
And I always tell, like I've always said to people, Dr. Naila, don't accept what I say, do some research and prove it wrong. And in the process, you'll become a scholar. But you'll also uncover a lot of enemies that are right around you. But if you love your children and you love your family, you're going to deal with the truth as you find it. And you will find it. If you seek the truth will find you. It will. But it's always been there. And in spite, the other interesting thing, Dr. Naila, even though the hybrid Europeans and Constantinians, under the guise of Christianity, have been burning books, hiding history, restricting, blocking, sanctioning, demonetizing, confiscating people's accounts, censoring people, there's still enough history and information available to liberate anybody who really wants to be mentally liberated. And of course, before you can help liberate people politically, they must be liberated mentally. Know you the truth, and the truth will help set you free from fake government, fake religion, fake organizations, and fake institutions, i.e., colored structures. That's a fact. So understand, when you start exposing the platform of the cards that have been used by the corrupt dark priesthood, they get angry quickly and they send their trolls out. You're not telling the truth. They made that up. Well, do some research for yourself. We're just giving you some points of reference. And as you learn the truth, some of it's going to make you angry. Some of it's going to make you emotional. But I suggest don't do either. Study it and get wise. And start baptizing yourself with a new mind.
Yeah, and we were talking about this too, expanding some of what is taught, and which is, get into that, which is a reason for my new channel.
Yeah.
But
and remember, like in harmony with what you were saying about the new channel. Remember, Dwali said half has not been told. If I told you everything, you'd go back to sleep. The more you study, the more you find out where he was actually directing us. Not only do you find more about yourself, find out more about the world and the politics.
Yeah, because we tend to go. Some of us jump on our nationality and we get tunnel vision,
limited,
and very limited, and so we have this myopic view of our world. It's just right in here, and you're missing everything that's outside the periphery.
Yes.
And so
Did you notice in harmony, really, with some of your plans and thoughts, or even setting up a new channel? How, what is it that you recognize, and even a lot of things we do here at the House of Reawakening Minds, because of the ongoing war against the people, that when you start telling the truth, there's a concerted effort politically to sanction and to block and to censor, which makes things necessary. What more proof do the people need that these people are not their government?
I mean, not tonight, but there were a couple of maybe it was last month or something. You know, I see all the comments, not all of them, but I try to catch them. I see enough of them, and you know how I get emotional about stuff, and you tell me not to. So, but I was cool this time because I read a comment, and it literally, I don't even know, somebody said that you and I were agents, and I thought,
we are.
Then I said, of change, of truth.
The agents for the truth.
Right. Choose the change. Right. We have no hidden agenda. It's just that our people wake up.
Can't they find what we just told them?
Validate it. Verify it for yourself.
Yes.
Don't expect us to give it all to you, but let us give you enough to make you hungry enough to want the rest.
Exactly. For yourself.
Right. There's no satisfaction like the satisfaction that comes with you seeking and finding.
And this is the truth. This is the truth. Everybody listening, and we ourselves here, are agents for either good or evil. Now, that's the truth. Problem. Have the conditions of the planet Midgard Earth proven to be governed by people who had good intentions for the people? Or does it prove that they had negative, evil, and destructive intentions for the people? So isn't it logical when anyone speaks any information that counters their activities or their platforms that they get upset? So you have agents for the dark and you have agents for the light. Know them by their works. Other issue is this. Anybody can disagree. Prove it wrong. And make yourself public. And prove it wrong. You notice how they stay in the shadows? You know how they say they got something to say in the background?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't they get out in the front and produce literature if they got the truth? They don't want it out there because it exposes them too.
Yeah, it's just many people they want you to do the digging and the harvesting, and then they want you to prepare it, and then they want you to make sure that what you prepared is to their liking. When
everybody doesn't come in flavors,
I know that, but
it doesn't come in strawberry.
I know that.
It doesn't come in vanilla. It comes both clean and dirty. Comes, there's no good without that. It's add mixture of evil. You're learning such things metaphysically to cast that evil off from it. It's called separating the wheat from the chaff. And everybody, uncomfortably, because it's uncomfortable for everybody, all of us. Is that everybody, like we said a few years ago, Dr. Naila, people are uncomfortable because everything is being shaken up. Everything is being challenged. And everyone is being uncomfortable because they're being forced to prove their gods.
And there's a lot of uncertainty that's
of course it is.
Going on right now.
Because it was uncertain before, they just didn't admit it.
Yeah, somebody was saying, I saw a comment and something about to the extent that Trump is not really for the people because he was encouraging them to take the vaccines. But I don't think he was encouraging for them to take those.
No, he was encouraging people.
It was the H.
They had their choice.
It was, but it was the early on.
Yes,
early on,
which is a vaccine.
Which is a vaccine and not an experimental drug.
Is not.
Yeah. So he was.
And again, like we said, we're not do the research. And this is again why a lot of times you have to qualify. We're not supporting him. We're just saying what they're dealing with and his assignment.
You need to know the truth.
Yeah, what it is.
It is what it is, but you need to know the truth.
Because remember, like we said before, no matter what the Wigmores do, whether the consigned wigs or the cotton wigs, they're battling over your estate. Keep that in mind. So your responsibility is to do what? Confess your own. My responsibility to confess your own. My responsibility to confess my own. Your responsibility to confess your own. Every man, every woman, every child. Keep in mind, this is the age of Aquarius. Nobody's bearing everybody's cross anymore. Don't look for that. That's not going to happen. Get to work. Get off the keisters. Stop looking for sacrificial lambs. This is not the age of sacrificial lambs. That was in Pisces.
Mhm. Well,
The dark priesthoods are being removed. Logically, they're going to fight harder. And those who have been helping them, the minions, logically will get upset. And most of them are your paid trolls. So you don't get mad at them, you know they're going to be there. You know, like you don't get in a basketball game and don't expect them to try to score points, do you? The truth withstands scrutiny. The lie doesn't.
fine. Someone wanted to know if the Chinese recognize our claim, the Moorish claim to the sovereigns of the land. Moorish claim.
Say again?
If did the Chinese recognize Moorish claim?
Do the Moors recognize Moorish claims? Do they?
Do the Moors? All Moors? Some do, some
What the
don't.
world don't recognize is the black codes that they've been practicing on them.
Question was about General Ham. I can't. Somebody's here. Someone asked, "Can you touch on theocracy?"
Theocracy simply means God study, or principles or structure of theocracy is a structure of government that recognizes divinity. Theo means God principle. Crasy, which means study or structure, political structure.
Oh, David says, I find it amusing that King Solomon's real name was Jedediah, and the Wiggers make a move. Oh, a move. I think they mean a movie called The Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. They always tell you. One thing, this is an interesting thing too. The hybrid Europeans, when they make their movies, often use those platforms and tell real history or politics in sometimes animated or movie structure. If you know the history, you can see that they're talking.
Yeah, there's a lot of, just like when what was the movie with the first time I heard, I guess more besides hearing it from you when I first met you was probably the movie with Martin Lawrence and
Black Knight.
The Black Knight.
And also the movie with Will Smith, Wild Wild West.
And well, I didn't see that
also
one.
Anthony Hopkins with True Romance. I mean, and also with you also probably to remind you the Bell with Sidney Poitier.
Bell.
The Bell. Of course. Well, I've talked to his brother very often. His brother's nationalized.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, this stuff is not unknown. It's when somebody points it out to you and you look back, you'll see that you've been told many times. El Cid, the movie El Cid.
I've heard of the name El Cid.
El Cid with what was that guy named? The actor.
My goodness.
Right on the tip of my tongue. But you know, it's just that people, you know, Dr. Naila, it's just that people have been trained under the Black Coast for so many generations, it goes past your ears. You know what I mean? Our people generally in a state of disassociation. And so you think you haven't heard it because it hasn't what resonated, if you get the point.
Right.
And then when you become conscious, what we call conscious or enlightened, it resonates.
I want to give condolences to I'm not sure Bendy Brianna is, well,
Gotta be very clear. I don't know.
Well, they say that the baby brother just passed Sunday morning a week after taking second Moderm V. Initially said he wouldn't, last year he wouldn't until more years of study on it. And these are the things that they're not, you know, we here at House of Your Within Minds give you our condolences, and there are many more like that. The story's not being told.
Yes.
The truth's being suppressed. You know, everybody's coming out of the woodwork, every so-called star, the ones that they haven't taken off the scene yet, to try to get everybody else to play Russian roulette with your life. So, now that makes me angry, because
we have an unfortunate situation, you know, on the planet now, Dr. Naila,
yeah,
where we, you know, keep telling people is that the dark priesthood is coming out in the open. They're not even hiding things. They're just literally attacking the people. And part of it is if the people don't wake up, they're going to be fodder. You know, it's hard, but people are going to have to learn to render under Caesar what is Caesar and learn what that really means. Because there's a lot of people among your own that keep delivering you to these demons.
have to and somebody said, and I've seen it on, like, in Canaanland, whoever this official was, like, we're gonna go to knock on doors and do what?